Macy.
Good afternoon and thank you for being here today. My name is Maryann and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about missing persons and the importance of having your children fingerprinted. According to the National Child Information Program, approximately 800,000 people go missing every year. That's roughly the size of San Francisco, California or Fort Worth, Texas. All the faces you see here on these boards the majority of them are from Idaho. Give or take a few from Oregon, but most of them are from Idaho. And while I was preparing this demonstration today, I did read all of their stories as I was putting them up on the board, and I did get to know them a little bit. And there are even some from Nampa and here in the surrounding cities. This gentleman here, for example, Jose Perez Miranda, he's from Emmett, and he and his two friends were swimming in the Black Canyon, and they got swept into some sort of a tunnel. And his two friends, they did resurface, but he did not. So their family still is looking for him and hoping that he comes home safe to them, but they're not sure just because of the circumstances surrounding it. This is April Bowdish, and they suspect that she's with her mother and that she's been taken by her mother. But just because she's with her mother doesn't mean that she's not endangered. She is an endangered missing person. This is also Curtis Fair. He's from Nampa. In 1980, a little while ago, he was playing in his neighbor's yard, and that was the last time that he was seen. And I think that people in 1980, they probably weren't as cautious as we are these days with the amount of missing persons that there actually are out there. This is Benita Chamberlin. Benita actually is from a little further away, Eugene, Oregon. And Benita, she had given birth to her youngest daughter of 3 children, and she was born a little bit early, so Benita would go to the hospital every day and feed her. And the day that she was supposed to pick her up and take her to the hospital, she went to feed her, but she never came back to take her home. They did find her car and her belongings in a parking lot there. And the circumstances surrounding this also, why it's interesting, is because she had another woman missing at the same time as her. And somebody had found a body, parts of a body, and because D.N.A. wasn't what it is now, and we didn't have these kits back then, there was some confusion about who it was. Was it Benita or was it a different woman? Pamela Lee Bruno was her first name. And if we would have had these kits, there would have been D.N.A. on file, but because there wasn't, they had to decipher between the body and the different sizes of the women whose body it actually was, so that the family could get some comfort. And we can't go back at this point and make sure that they were right. That's another point of why these D.N.A. kits here, and we'll get to these soon, but why they're so important. Most of the people in these stories had mostly the same circumstances surrounding it. Their car was found, their personal belongings were found, wallets, IDs were left behind. Things that, people wouldn't do if they were, planning to leave. So, and I realized that most of these people aren't children, but they are somebody's child. And they have a mother and a father that's looking for them and wondering where they are and wishing that they could get to them. And the reason that I know that is because Benita is my mother. She also left behind 2 other children, Melissa and Michelle, and we miss her very much. Nobody wants to believe that this could happen to them, but the truth is that it does happen to them. The reality is that every 40 seconds here, people go missing. The child ID kits from the National Child Identification Program will help law enforcement to identify your family member if this did ever happen. And it can be a peace of mind that you have these things on hand, and we'll get to that in a minute, what's inside of it, but they are very important. I went into the Ada County Sheriff's Office to get these kits, and I asked for enough to send home with you guys, so you would have them for all your children. And I got the last 9 here in Canyon County. Apparently, they told me they're not going to be doing this anymore, which is kind of sad. So another way that you can do it is you can call your local fire department or police department, and every so often they do safety programs for children where you can go in and get fingerprints done. You can also, they get talked to about safety and the age-old rule of not talking to strangers, not getting into their car, and it just educates your little ones a little bit on, not doing those things, and it keeps them, safer with you. This here is a child ID kit. You all have one in front of you. And although you can't get them in Lake County anymore, you can go onto this website here. It's childrenprogram.com. And if you want to open this up, I'll let you know how this works a little bit, and we can go through this together. So inside you're going to find an inkless fingerprint kit, and that's to dip your children's fingers in. And this here is a DNA swab. This is what would have helped in my mother's case. Had my mother not my mother, but my grandmother, had she had one of these, she could just swab the inside of her mouth, and it would have been in this envelope waiting in case, you know, something like this did happen. But like I say, nobody ever expects it's going to happen to them, but it does. Inside you're going to find a place to put all the fingerprints. You're going to have a place for the name, the address, phone number. Also you're going to have on the back, there's a description where you can put your child's description here, and also dental records and medical records. So, and they also suggest that you put in a hair follicle, a strand of hair that has the follicle connected to it, in a plain white piece of paper. And you keep that all together. And actually this piece of paper with the fingerprints on it, you actually can keep inside your wallet if you want to, but I would put it in a lockbox, maybe a strong box or a safe, just so that you have it on hand. And I think that's pretty much it for today. I thank you for coming, and I hope that you take what I've said and think really strongly on it about how important it is, and I hope that to see maybe one of you someday at one of these child safety fairs, because I can tell you offhand, straight from my heart, that it is very important. And thanks again for coming.